Today's the show you want to stick around for 5 simple, maybe 6, maybe 7, 5 simple proven steps to living longer, healthier, and stronger. Yeah, baby, it's easier than you think. There's no rocket science. Plus, Bryce Holmes joins us center stage coming up today, mornings. Baby, mornings in the lab with Keith and friends. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where excuse
when something negative comes up.
Building muscle and peace, blood flow.
Nobody is expecting, John.
If your lady's saying that, you're just
Being a super
be entertained by fun over here.
How have I slept? Has my sleep been good? Is that...
Everyone says they want to live longer, but most of us sabotage ourselves daily. Oh yeah, we skip sleep, we eat garbage, we sit for hours, we stress about those things that won't matter in 5 years, and hey, we forget the people who matter most. Living longer, baby, it's not just about magic pills. No way, it's about doing the basics better. In today's talk, I'm going to share 5 simple habits to get you moving, to help you live longer. Do these, you're not only going to live longer, you are going to live better. You know the show, Mornings in the Live with Keith and Friends, the only show that gets your ass out of bed without the snooze button. Yeah. You ready to make those years count? Let's dive in. And hey, listen, you know how we roll here today. Coming up on the show, we are dissecting the magic behind living longer, more than just science. And reminder, boys, it's an explicit show. You better get those headphones on because we might offend the kids along the way. Jimmy, Tommy, let's bring in Richie, C. Marty, and John Anderson joining us in the lab here this morning. We got the boys in black on black. Johnny's wearing the fuck excuses, and I see Marty's in the black on black, less brunch, more crunch.
Navy blue, Navy blue, man.
I'm going to get Richie to reveal what everybody's wearing because old Uncle Keith just clearly can't see through the glasses here. And Richie's wearing the green on green in the balmy springs of Austin, Texas, directly south of Uncle Keith, where it is a very, very warm minus 35 degrees Celsius here today. How cold is that, Marty?
I'll look it up for you. I got you, brother.
Good morning, guys.
You know, I've never figured out why people continue to live in environments like that. I mean, we have this wonderful thing that empowers us as human beings, and it's called a choice.
Yes. Yeah.
Does it stay like that the entire winter? Like that snow? It's gonna be like that for the fuck that.
Yeah, it is. So I sent a picture to Richie last night so we can show Grant. Rich sent me a text yesterday. He's like, hey, I said, hey, check this out, man. Here's my backyard, and here's my front yard. So that's what the front looks like right now.
It says negative 31.
Yeah, so that's about right. That's exactly about right. And then here is
Crazy, man.
there's my dogs frolicking in the snow there, Johnny. You can appreciate that. Just shows you how deep it is there.
Charlie and Lola.
Yeah. Yeah, so Marty, that's just on the side of my house where you can see all the snow. So we probably were about a foot of snow. But yeah, the dogs love it. And then this morning, I opened the door up, and I opened the door to the garage, Marty, and they look out the door, Richie. They look up back at Dad. They're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, they'll go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Is what they're saying. Why the fuck are we living here?
Exactly.
You're talking about straight fucking sodomy by weather here.
Good morning, nation. I see y'all tuning in here today. You're tuning into Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the morning loop, the first 15 unpredictable minutes of your morning. I'm Keith Billis. That's John Anderson. That's Rich Ingram, and that's C. Marty Fit. Good morning, Angela. I see you here. I invite you to subscribe to this channel. We drop it every single day, helping you guys get yourselves going. Richie, been a few days, brother. How are you, pal? What's going on? Tell us something new today. Tell us something, Richie.
Man, doing great. I'm headed down to Atlanta on Friday with the 3 kids. So we'll see how that flight goes. But yeah, man, got my kid in a new school and
nice.
Trying to manage those challenges. Yeah, that's it, man. I don't, you know how it is. I have a 6, a 4, and a 2-year-old. I don't even know what the fuck happened yesterday. That's how it is.
Yeah, no kidding. So that's Richie's plans here. And what do you got going on today, Mr. Anderson? What's on your agenda on the Wednesday of our loop?
I got a good training session coming up. I'm really looking forward to, and then I basically am. I woke up this morning very, very clear. And
baby.
Yeah, and I basically saw what I needed to do today to make things really, really pivot. And so it's like sometimes you wake up and you're sorting and you're trying to find what's that thing. And I woke up today and I was like, God damn, there it is.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And Marty, Richie, look at the red colors from behind Johnny. It's like he's emanating that energy out of his brain right now. He's just got this energy coming out of him.
And you know where that thought came? Where I was on the fucking toilet, baby.
Oh, of course it did. That's where they all come. And Marty, I'm watching you listen to Anderson, and I can see the words coming in your head. What are you thinking as he's talking? You're going, what are you saying?
You never know what you're gonna get from Anderson, man. You know, just I listen, Anderson. I love the positivity.
Yeah,
I love the variety. We never know what we're gonna get from you, man. I love it, man.
Well, you know, that's the thing. When Keith and I were talking about, you know, what this project was, and he was saying this is what it is, and we were kind of going back and comparing it to old radio shows like Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And the number one reason in those days, the number one reason why people tuned into Stern was, what the fuck's this guy going to say next? I was like, well, Keith, I think I can cover that one for you. The rest is up to you.
I understand, man. I'm kind of the same way, man. I get it.
I like that. So listen, I got a few things to throw on the table for you guys, but you know, most people think living longer is about luck, Richie. It's not. Longevity is the result of simple habits repeated daily. On Monday, I revealed when I'm going to die. Moving your body.
We create luck. Jesus Christ. What is wrong with these people who sit back and wish for luck? Luck is all in the preparation.
It's so true, Johnny, right? Moving your body, fueling with real food, resting deeply. But most ignore these tactics, Richie, because they're too simple. You know, we're all looking for the big hack, eh? We're like, okay, I need the magic. No, there actually is no magic. We're going to get into that today in the show. But
you know what the magic is? If you think you're unlucky, it means you're fucking lazy.
Yeah. Yes, that's also probably part of the case as well.
The magic's in the consistency.
The magic is in, and that is boring, baby. That is boring. Hey, I got a couple things I want to throw on the table here today. So last week we talked about an act that happens in a church in America. That's called what the hell is it called there, Marty?
Does it involve somebody fucking jumping up and down in a bed?
Yeah, we were talking about soaking. Richie, were you part of that conversation, Marty?
Oh yeah. I wasn't. I think I was talking about it after I left.
Yeah, Richie's gonna be all about it. He's gonna be like, look, this is breaking the spirit of what's supposed to be going on here.
Yeah, so Richie, we talked about soaking last week, which is an act in a certain church that maybe it might encourage people to break immoralities, which is having sex with your partner, but not actually having sex. So redefining the definition.
Oh, that's like marinating.
Yeah, exactly. Putting the hot dog bun inside and putting the wiener.
Yeah, that's what the. Never mind. Let me stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what?
Yeah.
So basically, it's these Mormons who've decided to fucking tweak the rules. So they basically, you could basically stick your dick in some chick, put it in there, not move. Have your buddy come and fucking jump up and down on the bed to create some motion, and you didn't break the rules. Is that's breaking the spirit of the rule? Am I correct, Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what?
Leave it to the Mormons. Like, okay, there's a guy that's just like, hey, we're gonna create our own fucking shit. Let's go. And then finally, people are about to murk this motherfucker, right? And so he just stops in the middle of the desert, and he's like, "This is it." And they end up in fucking Utah, and then they're like, "All right, now let's start fucking each other and create this rule to where, you know, like David had a lot of wives. Why can't we have a lot of fucking wives?" So they're in no man's land, fucking each other, and then now we have. And no offense to Mormonism, whatever, but like that's how I see its origin. And now we're coming up with this. Of course, the Mormons are coming up with that.
Marty.
This make me think of when I used to play ball. My coaches would say, if you're gonna fuck up, if you're not gonna follow the play or whatever, do it at full speed.
Yeah, fuck up full speed.
Do it 100%.
Don't fuck up halfway. You get in trouble just the same way.
You might as well just do the whole thing, the real thing at that point.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
It. So I had a fellow reach out to me yesterday who I've gotten to know over the last as we've been building this show, and he reached out and says, "Hey, what's up with the story?" And I was like, "Well, you know, it's just a funny story found on TikTok, and it's this thing happening on TikTok. People are talking about this activity." And he's like, I don't know if it's really true. And I was like, hey, I don't really, it's not really about it being true. I was just having some fun with it. My point is this show, Johnny, when we're talking smack, you're on the right track. I had such a wonderful, respectful conversation with this gentleman that reached out to kind of challenge what we talked about, challenged what I was saying, and perhaps challenge some of the discussion around it, saying, it could happen in any church. It doesn't have to be just the Mormon church. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I get that. But the point is, boys, we actually had a discussion. It wasn't this, you're fucking wrong. No, you're a meathead. I'm not talking to you. It was more like, oh, yeah, okay, what do you think about that? Oh, did that offend you? No, it didn't offend me. It was actually, Marty, a conversation. It was like,
That's how it should be.
Yes, because the guy heard our show and he's like, oh, I don't know if I really like that or agree with that. But you know what he didn't do, Marty? He didn't shit on me. He didn't call me out. He sent me a note and he's like, hey, let's talk about this. And we actually had a wonderful private conversation. And that's why I wanted to address it here on the air here, because I just, I'm not going to address anything privately, but I'm like, hey, I like the fact that we can actually have chats with folks.
That's a more developed human being right there.
Yes. A lot of love for that fellow, man. A lot of love for you. You know who you are, mister. You know who you are.
Yeah, whoever you are, we got love for you, baby.
Absolutely. Secondly, boys, I know.
Is he Canadian or American?
He's actually American, Mark. He's not that.
Oh, yes.
At that point, it doesn't fucking make a difference what he is. He responded rather than reacted.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, I only asked that because that's a big issue in our country.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, fuck. Are you kidding me?
Conversations from different beliefs.
Fuck. Yeah. I'm with you there, Marty. Jesus Christ.
And I do want to offer a comment. That's just because I know this is part of our show. We do current events show, and it's timely. I just want to throw this on the table. I'm looking at my brother Marty. This is anything, but you know that saying where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't know, but I'm just kind of feeling a little weird about the whole Jay-Z thing happening, Marty.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
I don't, we talked about it yesterday. It's not so much Jay-Z, just the fact that there's maybe a 13-year-old female involved in the whole thing, and it makes me feel really.
Oh, hold on. I don't watch TMZ. What the fuck are we talking about?
Yeah, so we know that Diddy's being on the rake on the coals for a bunch of shit that he's done back in the years, and he's being held in jail right now. Well, in the last week, Johnny.
Hold on. Say that again.
Yeah, so over the last couple of weeks, P. Diddy has been spending time in jail because he's been charged.
Yeah.
Right? So, in the last number of days, Sean Carter, a.k.a. Jay-Z, has been looped into that discussion has been charged with raping a 13-year-old.
Oh, mercy. Oh.
Damn. And that's just after – didn't they just release something saying Jay-Z's like the #1 rapper in the world? Like he made some famous list or something like that?
Yeah, and then he responded, Marty. He responded with an accusatory. I did not. So basically, throwing the accuser under the bus, and the old response, Johnny, you're playing offense, right? So it's that getting behind litigation.
Oh God, it's just so terrible because it's like you do all this fucking great shit, and it just shows how you can make one mistake that is, that's a pretty fucking bad mistake. Yeah. And Jesus Christ, and it can all unravel. On a funny side note, when this whole thing broke out, Ice Cube was on tour, I believe, and so when he'd finish his shit, he'd say, and just for the record, I ain't never been to a Diddy party.
Yeah, man.
Cleared himself right from the jump.
and just for the record, for everyone on the listening to the show here, we're not accusing anybody of anything. We're just talking purely about what we're hearing in the news, and maybe there's allegations out there. So you can arrive at your own conclusion. Just it's out there. It's in the news, and when you have lots of money, you can do funny things with the news.
Well, in this kind of thing, an accuser like that never leaves.
No,
you know what I mean.
Unfortunately,
that stays
proven innocent.
Yeah, that stays with you, man. That's
terrible.
I hope it's not true, and if it's not true, it's very unfortunate. He's now got that label, but either way, that whole situation is kind of a bummer.
Well, Johnny, and the thing is too, is like Marty and I were talking about yesterday, is that I don't know if enough of society is talking about potentially if it did happen, are enough of us thinking about the 13-year-old little girl that was part of that. I got a 14-year-old daughter. Johnny, I know you got daughters yourself. So
yeah,
one thing to kind of think about perhaps the accusation. It's another thing to go, oh my God, what about potential accusation? So anyways, not to dour the mood, just current event discussions we throw here in the lab here. So we got Bryce Holmes hanging out in the green room. Hey Richie, before we bring Bryce in, did you guys go grab coffee together? Anything you need to know about?
Yeah, man. Had a great time with bro.
Was I right? Did I hit it off when I said to you, Richie, I met somebody who you guys are gonna get along?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
He's a good dude. He's a good dude. Listen, why don't we do this? And let's.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Do you notice something?
I do. Your internet's working fine.
I can fucking hear. I'm back, baby. It's Jesus Christ. It was all just a couple pushes of a button, man. I love it.
It was. I was waiting for you to say something, brother. I was
the fax machine.
I was exactly, Marty. It was the fuck. So Richie, over the last couple of days, Johnny's been faxing.
And I was getting fucking frustrated, I was starting to get a little pissy.
You were.
Yeah. So
I was.
I don't know if you know, but Johnny was actually faxing War and Peace. Oh yeah, he had his fax machine just churning out paper, and as a result, the bandwidth is just chugging it down here. So Johnny was having a hard time.
Wait, is that true? Like, are you?
No, my computer got fucking loaded up. We had to dump the cache memory or some bullshit like that. So it was happening the last couple days. I couldn't hear shit. Keith was like, hey, he wants me to talk. And I'm like, listen, I basically didn't involve myself. I just interrupt, not having a fucking clue what we're talking about. So if you're asking me a question, you're not going to get the answer you're looking for.
Speaking of answers what they're looking for, we know Johnny's cheeks are shuffling. Johnny's going to go for a break. Rich is going to go for a break, and so is Marty. And we're going to get the accountability check-in rolling. Jimmy, hey, we got Tommy behind the buttons today as well. We are looking to increase the production quality of this ultimate morning show for men. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show to get your ass out of bed. Do not hit snooze. I practice how fast I can say these things. True story. Oh yeah. I sit and chuckle, look in the mirror and go, hey, I'm the rap god. Are you actually burnt out or are you just misaligned? I don't know. Are you working on the wrong things? Because no amount of effort feels fulfilling. It's not exhaustion. It's misalignment. If you're dragging yourself across the finish line this year, ask yourself one question. Am I saying yes to avoid disappointing others? Have I been busy but not impactful? Am I living by habit or intention? Or am I a high performer who doesn't burn out because we're lazy? We burn out because we ignore the quiet voice saying you're going to go the wrong fucking way. You're going the wrong fucking way, I'm telling you. You got to go this way. No, you got to go this way. So here, do this right now. Look in the mirror and ask yourself one question. Am I burnt out? Or am I just tired of being misaligned? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I've been there. Oh, fuck, I've been there. I'll say it again. Oh, fuck, I've been there. I got up, looked in the mirror. I'm like, I'm not burnt out. I'm just misaligned. I'm doing the wrong things. If you're doing the wrong things, I'll tell you one thing to do right now today, nation. One thing and one thing only. Go get revenue. That's it. That's it. That's all that matters. Your HR doesn't matter. Your operations doesn't matter. Anything in your business does not matter at all right now except getting revenue. Because if you get revenue, everything else, all the problems go away. True story. That's it. The accountability check with myself, Keith Billis. Yes, I'm that guy in the red hat today. I didn't tell you I got the red hat, the glasses on. We got Marty, Richie, Johnny, and of course we got Bryce Holmes joining us here in the lab here. And I'm pretty excited, Richie, because Bryce has changed his entire non-negotiable morning routine for us today. What's going on, Bryce Holmes?
Keith, good to see you. Rich, you as well.
Hey, how are you today, brother? How are you?
I'm good. Just grinding.
Yeah, so Bryce is joining us from Austin, Texas as well, just down the road from Richie Rich there. But boys, I got to tell you something. Marty, Johnny, I met Bryce a few weeks ago and introduced Richie and Bryce, and I said, "Hey, why don't you come on the show?" And he looks at me and he's like, "But Keith," I go, "Yeah." He goes, "That's at 8 o'clock in the morning." I go, "Yeah, Central Time." He's like, "Yeah." Good burp there, Johnny.
Thank you,
Johnny.
Thank you.
That's
That's just me, baby.
As we're introducing Bryce, and Bryce is like, "But dude, I my non-negotiables are from like 4 a.m. till 10 a.m." I'm like, "What?" Or was it 6, Bryce? What time's your non-negotiables at?
4 to 10 every day.
Yeah. So boys, you're gonna love this. Bryce from 4 to 10 every single day puts his relationships first. You know how he does it? He gets up at 4, gets all of his shit done, turns all of his notifications off, and focuses for 6 hours every single day, 4 to 10, 24 hours a week. He gives to himself first so he can be successful. I love that. And I knew when I told Marty and Johnny and Richie that, they're going to go, holy fuck, this guy's dialed up. Johnny, what do you think when you hear that?
Well, so when you say are relationships, like you're given, are you yourself and your relationships, just yourself, just your relationships, combo of the two? Break it down for us, brother.
Yeah, well, twofold. One, I do have a daily check-in with my future wife. We have kind of our family meeting around 9 a.m. But what it also does, waking up early, it enables me to stop my day at 4 p.m. and spend the rest of the evening with my family. Go to baseball games for my son, have dinner together, help make dinner, clean up, do the whole family life. So,
Brother, you're talking my language. 5 p.m. is time for my wife. That's when I disengage from what I'm doing, re-engage with her. You're cut from the same cloth. We were separated at birth, brother. I said, you're literally talking about how I start my day too, and I fucking love it, brother.
Yeah. So, Bryce, the question we like to ask everybody so we can create some good content to promote you and promote the show is this one great big morning show question, which is this. What is your morning routine? Break it down for us, Bryce Holmes. From the moment the alarm goes off, what happens?
Well, first of all, I haven't woken up to an alarm in probably 10 years. I have it set for 4 a.m., but I typically wake up around 2 or 3. So whenever I get up, I just go. But everything's dialed down to a 15-minute increment. I'll just go through it for you.
Yeah.
First 5, meditate and set my intentions for the day. So I usually try to pick one big goal to get 2% better that day. 10-minute stretch, 10-minute abs, and a 40-minute workout. Then I have an hour for shower and coffee. I do a half hour of personal planning. That's anything personal I need to do, whether it's shop for Christmas gifts or something like that. That way my evenings are still set aside for family. Right now is my general to-dos. It's usually one administrative task that I've been putting off. And then from 7:45 to 9 is when I have my daily brief family meeting. And then by that, it's 9 o'clock. General admin, business stuff. I go for a lunch and a walk, kind of have a walking meditation. And then the rest of the afternoon is building whatever business I happen to be working on right then.
Nice. That's sleep,
Monday
brother.
through Friday. That's Monday through Friday. And then at 4 p.m., I put my phone down. I don't take meetings. I don't take calls. That's another non-negotiable.
What happens on Saturday and Sunday?
I was just going to say, what happens Saturday and Sunday?
That's more family time. It really just depends. I try to keep that flexible. I'm very structured and routinized, so it helps me get out of that routine to just kind of, whatever makes sense for that day.
Are you still waking up early?
Yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse.
Well, what do you do at that time then? So what do you do at that time since you're up early?
Something personal development usually. Was taking a course, reading a book, something.
So it's still going. It's still going Saturday and Sunday. Just a slightly different vibe, but you're still in that groove of bettering yourself every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beautiful, brother. Beautiful.
This is good chat here because I know Johnny lives a 7-day loop. Sunday through Mondays through Thursday and Tuesday. It's just a different name on the calendar. Doesn't mean different to Johnny. Yeah, we got guys like Bryce who changes things up on Saturdays, Sundays. I do myself, admittedly, a little bit, even though my body's up. Richie, Marty, do you guys have the same routine on Saturdays and Sundays as you do Monday to Friday? Because I think this is something that a lot of folks kind of struggle with, right? Which is we're consistent Monday to Friday. Weekends come, and some of us fall off the rails. Marty, Richie.
Yeah, my weekend is pretty much catching up on the things that I missed.
Yeah.
Doing things it's hard for me to do during the week. And just, relax your mind,
Yeah.
Every day is 110% during the week. So the weekend is a little different, but I'm still being productive. I sleep a little longer. I do stuff with family, do stuff with friends.
Yeah.
So, kind of similar to Bryce. I'm still being productive, but it's a little different.
Yeah. What about you, Richie?
Yeah, no, mine's completely different. I have 3 kids again.
Yeah.
There's no way. So we have to fill our time with them. But I also think, it's not difficult to keep your habits because your habits, and I'm sure John will attest to it, are environmental, right? Like when your environment changes, it's not difficult to just pick back up in the same routine Monday because your Sunday was different because the environment is completely different. So, I really can't tell you what I do on Saturday and Sunday other than chase little kids around on their bikes.
Well, the biggest difference for me Saturday and Sunday is I have an extra 90 minutes from 5 a.m. until 6:30, which that's always a lot of fun for me to play with because
is that Terry time?
That's the time that we're normally on the show. Terry,
I was just
Terry's
saying, you fill it with Terry time. Oh, she's still
no,
asleep.
she's fucking dead asleep, man. Although she
Sorry.
wouldn't mind, it's much more fun when I have a participant that's completely awake and aware. You know,
You don't want somebody just jumping up and down on you.
that's right, that's right. But that extra 90 minutes is like gives me a chance to work on something. Like I read a little more, I go a little deeper into my meditation. So, when you really, I love one of the things that Bryce is talking about is his time is currency, and so he uses that time, and it's like it's a gift when you've got this chunk of time that you get to still invest in yourself, but in a different way. So I love your Saturday to Sunday, brother. I'm kind of the same thing. I take that 90 minutes that I get from not being here and invest it in some place that really interests me, but still in self-improvement.
Yeah. If there's anything I would encourage anybody who's listening to the show or tunes into our show along the way is commit to a consistent activity every day that's rooted to a certain time and do not move away from that. What I mean is that this show that happens every single day at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, mornings in the lab with Keith and friends, I can't get away from the fact that tomorrow's going to be 8 o'clock. And then so is the next day. And I got to be ready for tomorrow at 8 o'clock, right? And it's funny when you have these hard times, you can't erase time because most meetings we all have in life are interchangeable and non-negotiable, right? Oh, I'm going to be late for my lawyer's meeting. I'll be late 10 minutes for the doc's appointment. Well, dude, when you're like 8 o'clock Eastern Time, no, it's like 8 o'clock's coming up, not 8:30, not 7:30, 8 o'clock's coming up tomorrow pretty quick.
And you get the people that say, "Oh, that doesn't work that way for me." When I know if I do something enough, I can just break away from it. Okay, go take a dump and don't wipe your ass. See how that goes.
Well, I think one thing too. So for me, even though my day to day kind of changes, my sleep schedule is always the same. So I'm generally always going to bed at the same time. Sometimes I'll wake up earlier, depending on what I'm doing. If I have a longer run or whatever.
Yes.
But that's one thing. And then when I wake up, the things that I do, regardless of what time I wake up, are generally the same, right? The same way that I roll out of bed, brush my teeth, get my alpha greens and feed the fish and sit down. All of that is generally it doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, that whole thing is the same. Now, what I do during the day does change. And I found that gives me enough energy to do whatever it is, as long as I keep that sleep till through my morning time.
That's why we call it the loop, baby.
So call it the loop. That's exactly. Hey, you're hanging out with John, Richie, Marty, Keith, and our guest Bryce Holmes, hanging out with us here from Austin, Texas. Hey, Bryce, you are you've chopped us into your 15-minute segment here today. Are you able to stick around for the next segment of the show, or do you got a non-negotiable you got to go to?
I can give you about 10 more minutes. How long is the next segment?
Yeah, 13 minutes or so. We can 10 minutes is great. Let's do that. Let's keep chatting with you. So before we go to the C Marty Fit Tip, I got another question for you here, Bryce. So let's give Business Athlete Nation a reason to really lean into Bryce Holmes. What's Bryce do? What keeps Bryce rocking and rolling outside of his non-negotiable after 10 o'clock? What does Bryce Holmes do down there in Austin, Texas?
For work, I'm assuming you're meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Tell.
I have a digital marketing agency. I've had that since 2011. And in 2013, I started investing in real estate. And that's where I'm leaning in, working on real estate for commercial properties and providing investment opportunities in hotels, apartments, and self-storage.
Nice. How's that working out for you?
It's great. I love it. It's even though I've been very good at what I do with the digital marketing and web development stuff, I hate being behind a computer. So I love being able to get out, have meetings, have coffee, like I did with Rich last week. And just every day is different. So I'm enjoying it. And that's, I think, the most important part. I kind of consider this the third phase of my career, and I'm leaning heavily into it.
Beautiful. All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep the show going. Let's bring Marty up for the fit tip of the day, and then we're gonna bring Bryce back, keep the conversation going. We're gonna get to know Bryce a little more. And we're gonna talk more about 5 tips to help you guys live longer. Hanging out with Bryce Holmes coming up in a minute. Marty, you're up, brother.
Let's get it. All right, man. We got to talk about fitness on the show. It's a big part of our lives. So I got 2 things we're going to talk about today. First one, your excuses are BS. Let's be real. There's someone in your shoes who's getting to the gym and they're still being productive with family, being productive with business, and they're killing it, right? You keep holding yourself back because you think these excuses are valid. And I'm here to tell you that they're not. All right. So whatever you have going on, there's a way around it. You might have to work on your time management. You might have to put in more effort. You might just have to come up with a new plan. But the reality is fitness is a non-negotiable. It's necessary. You have to fit it in your life, even if it's only 20 or 30 minutes a couple times a week. So throw those excuses out the window. Find a way. We got TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Google. You got all types of ways to get the information that you need. Or you can watch this show and we can help you. But throw those excuses out the window. And the other thing I wanted to talk about was momentum. You want to create positive momentum, and you don't want to kill it and turn it into negative momentum. What does that mean? All right, you're in the gym 3 days in a row, right? You wanted to do 4. You got there 3 days. Something important popped up. You couldn't get there 4 days in a row. So just go 4 out of 5 days, and don't let that 4th day turn into a week. Then a week turns into 2 weeks. Then it turns into a month. All right, another example, your meal plan. You've been eating clean. You've been meal prepping or purchasing your meal preps, getting them delivered to your house. You left lunch at home one day, right? You're at work. There's a whole bunch of unhealthy restaurants around your job, okay? You can get a bad meal. You can skip a meal. But whatever it is that threw you off, just get back to eating clean the next day or for dinner, all right? Don't let that turn into a week of bad eating, 2 weeks of bad eating, or a month of bad eating, and they're going to throw you off your fitness goals, going to mess up your mood, you're going to be irritable, and now nobody wants to be around you, all right? So your excuses are BS. Don't kill your momentum. Keep the momentum positive. That's the fitness tip for today.
Today we see Marty Fit, Christopher Martin, joining us from Maryland. Maryland.
Yes, sir.
Maryland.
Yeah, you got to say Maryland.
Maryland. We're hanging out with Richie Ingram from Austin, Texas. Bryce Holmes, our guest from Austin, Texas. John Anderson from California. And, of course, Uncle Keith Billis here joining us from Winnipeg, Canada. A little bit cold here today. Yeah, just a little bit. Hey, we're talking about 5 tips to live longer in life. That's what our main topic of the show here today is. And I thought it's a timely discussion. We got Bryce Holmes hanging out here the next 10 minutes or so. One of the tips I'm going to throw on the table is this one, guys. Sleeping for 7 to 9 hours a night. Yeah, we're giving you guys real actionable advice. And our guest, Bryce, who shuts his data on every single day at 5 o'clock to focus on his time and family. Bryce, when did the light go on for you when you recognized that you needed to create this non-negotiable system for you in order for you to be successful? And how many times, second part of that question, Bryce, is how many times did you fail at implementing your non-negotiable system before you woke up and you're going, holy smokes, it's just happening every single day. These habits are working. Bryce.
Yeah, great question. I can't tell you when it started. It's been going on for a number of years, but the thing, I'm very ADHD, and so it's super easy to get distracted and find myself on a task 2 hours into it that I didn't need to be working on for more than 15 minutes. So, I had to start limiting distractions. I started with turning off notifications and, slowly layering in different elements to optimize my day. And I just found that for me, if I don't plan anything, doctor's appointments, meetings, anything before 10 a.m., that I can get more done before most of the work up than, I would in a normal week. So it's been just kind of an evolution. And, forgive me, I missed the second part of that question.
Did a light go on for you, which was you just were banging your head against the wall and you were just struggling to have success at certain things where you said, I need to make an intentional change, which is I got to get to bed. I got to create some non-negotiable time. And that's just as simple as that, black and white, period.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was, I think, an evolution from wanting to rid myself of needing Ritalin to function throughout the day. And so, I just made a decision from a health perspective that I didn't want that stuff in my body. And given that I do feel that I have kind of a challenge with distractibility, I needed to put in systems in place to offset what a medication would have normally kind of helped me with. Yeah. So, I don't know if it was a light bulb moment or just something that I just decided, look, I want to be intentional about what I put in my body. And I just knew that wasn't something that I wanted to continue doing.
That's so, I mean, brother, I'm kind of coming from that same school. You know, I found myself in enough Rain Man moments, and I'm like, all right, something's got to change here. You know, I get too overwhelmed. Next thing I'm just fucking sitting, I'm just looping. You know, and it's like, okay, environmentally, I can really make a fucking change with this. And so, what you're describing, I totally relate to that.
The aha moments just fascinate me because we all have them as we go through life, right? Marty had them when somebody's sitting in the gym going, "You're just a fucking loser now because you're not done basketball." Marty's like, "No, I'm actually not a loser. I'm actually something," and he did something about it. You know, Rich has had moments in his life where he has to wake up going, "Holy fuck, I got to do something about myself." And I love when us as men, or I guess all of us as humans, that light goes off and go, "Oh, okay." And I bring it up, guys, because there's guys tuning in right now who've been listening to our show this week going, okay, well, fuck, my bad habits are killing me. And we're talking about creating good habits to help you live longer. And the second one on the list is eating more whole foods. Again, simple stuff. Bryce, are you a whole foods guy, or do you chase, or is that a challenge for you within your lifestyle? Bryce?
Yes and no. I mean, I love my carbs, but I do have a mentality of needing.
But carbs can be whole food too, brother. Carbs can be whole foods too. It's just which ones are you eating?
True, but okay. So number one, I've been ketogenic diet in some form for probably better half of the last couple decades.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then 2 years ago, next month, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And so when it comes to carbs, you know, I'm not talking about vegetables and, you know, things like that. I'm talking about the beer, the pasta, the breads, things that, you know, ultimately, you know, your body becomes addicted to, but things that I also enjoy. So I'm not perfect at it. I try to be mindful of what I do eat. I'm, you know, in your camp with respect to eating whole foods, but I'm not perfect by any means.
So let me just make sure I heard that straight. So for most of the last 2 decades, you've been primarily on a ketogenic diet. Did I hear that correct?
Yeah, and endocrinologists think that that's what kept my type 1 diabetes at bay.
I was going to say, and then you actually develop diabetes later, even though you're on that plan or doing the best you can. It just shows how volatile the whole concept of having diabetes come to the surface is, because here's someone who's actively trying to be healthy, and it still came and got him.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, we're hanging out with Bryce here. We're going next question. The next way we can live longer is about moving daily and getting under the weights. Bryce, do you like to lift those weights daily, occasionally? Talk to us about your strength training protocols, Bryce.
I've been in the last year working on mobility more than strength. I grew up since junior high lifting weights. Lifting pretty heavily, and ultimately with a couple different injuries, kind of had some core issues with the posterior chain of my body. So I've been working heavily on stretching those, lengthening the sarcomeres, and getting back to a place where I feel foundationally better to go back to weightlifting.
Yeah.
If you real quick, brother, if you add a daily exercise in, it's just something you just body weight and you do it daily. This is something that will help develop that. It's just a simple Superman, because a lot of times people they get too caught up on the side of needing to stretch it, when in actuality it needs to be loose and conditioned. So when I say the Superman's not going to make you really strong, but it's going to condition that area to kind of help. I don't know if you're familiar with what a Superman is, but you could do 3 of them every morning between 30 and 60 seconds. And I can't tell you how many clients over the years that I've helped with back problems that have just left and stayed away because of that little drill every morning.
I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with the Superman.
So Bryce,
currently right now I do the ab exercises for 10 minutes, the stretching for 10 minutes, and then doing some sort of body weight exercise. I have a dip bar in my office, do push-ups,
nice
stuff like that.
Well, that's perfect, brother, because you're strengthening the front of your core, but what you got to do is you got to strengthen the back of your core, because that's where the problem is. It's your posterior chain. A lot of times people, they hurt their posterior chain and they get away from it, when in actuality what needs to be it needs to be strengthened and conditioned without being put at risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of so I have a interior pelvic tilt as well. So I've been trying to work really hard on the
The
strengthening
Superman will
glutes as
help that,
well.
brother.
So,
The Superman
yeah,
will, because the primary motor of that movement is the glute, which will then pull your pelvic back into place.
yeah, I love that. I'm gonna have to check that out. Appreciate that.
If you think about
Absolutely, brother.
think about laying on the ground with your body down, right, and like flat, right, and then lifting your head and your legs up so that you're creating a bow effect, right, and put your arms out, right,
And squeeze your glutes as the you want to engage your glutes as the first muscle. Everything else will fall into play, and that will that's if you do that. I would be really surprised, brother, after a month if you didn't feel differently, and you probably discomfort in general kind of starts to go away, and then if you continue with it, it'll stay away for good.
I love that. I'll have to implement that for sure.
I'd say, Johnny, for me, two things have changed for me. My mobility boys, Superman and pigeons, right? I get on Superman, I just squeeze those glutes and work on my bow, get my body, and then do pigeon for my hips, man. Those are game changers, absolute game changers. Hey, Bryce, as part of your non-negotiables, one thing that makes me curious is you said you were trying to get off Ritalin and get yourself really focused. Is one of the other tips on 5 ways to live longer is managing stress, the obvious one, that, trying to eliminate or bring down the cortisol. During your morning routine, Bryce, your non-negotiable time, was managing stress would you say in hindsight, the key motivator perhaps to make everything else work? Was that the number one component perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, as you say it, I think the way I framed it was that I was trying to control way too much. And I found that slowing things down, meditation, and trying to control less ultimately leads to more productive activity, which in theory, ends up reducing stress. So
yes,
I wouldn't have said that I went into it with that lens. However, that's probably more of the underlying issue.
Well, and then what I've also found when I pulled this notes up here for today's show here, Bryce, and I knew you were coming in, this whole idea of 5 ways to live longer. The last one to me, I think resonates the most from what you taught me as I got to know you. You said to me, which I really loved, Bryce, is that, Keith, I love the wife I'm going to marry, and I think you said that you have a son, or she has it, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, 6 years old, 7 in May. Yeah.
Yeah, and your whole purpose, boys, was he says to me, I get up every single day from 4 till 10 so I can get my shit done for one reason only, so I can spend time with the wife I'm going to marry and my little son. And that goes to this 5 ways to live longer, investing in real connections. Like Bryce has it sorted out. Bryce is like, because guys, too many guys are like, oh, I don't got time for this bullshit. I'm fucking getting up at 8 o'clock. No, Bryce, like, fuck that. I'm getting up at 4. I'm going to get up at 4 so I can get my shit done so I can go spend time with the folks that matter most to me. And Bryce Holmes, when you told me that, I'm like, yeah, that you got your shit wired right, man. Like, that's the whole reason.
I appreciate that. It doesn't come easy. For me, it's, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't get done. The way I have to
I
stay
feel that,
organized,
brother.
Everything happens.
Yeah. So now that you and Richie have hooked up there in Austin, has Richie convinced you to go running with him? Or because I know we are going to talk fartlek training later on in the show, which is how to get better at running through walking. But has Richie convinced you to get on the track and do some walking with you or running?
I would be down for walking. Running is not my thing.
You and me both, but I do it every Monday and Friday, and I tell Richie about, hey, Richie, I ran today. He's like, good job, brother. I'm like, yeah, I ran. So, all right, listen, Go ahead, Bryce.
I would say cardio for me is more like kayaking, for instance. I've never been into running. My joints don't like it, and it's just, I don't know. I've just it.
Awesome.
Something you enjoy to do. That's what your cardio is. That's the way it should be.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. All right, we're going to wrap up with Bryce Holmes here. Bryce has been very kind to join us for a double segment in the lab here today. Bryce is the guy who starts his day at 4, actually starts his day at 10. What to do between 4 and 10? The non-negotiables that get him sorted out so he can be the best for himself, the best for his family, and the best for everybody around him. Very, very happy that Bryce joins us here today. Bryce Holmes, where can Business Athlete Nation, where can LinkedIn Nation find you? Where can they connect with you? And how can folks continue the conversation with yourself, Bryce?
I'm very approachable. LinkedIn is probably the easiest. It's Bryce Holmes, BriceHolmes. Pretty simple. You can find my websites there, but reach out, have a conversation.
There we go. All right, guys. We'll say goodbye to Bryce. He's hanging out here this morning. Guys, we'll say goodbye to Bryce, and we'll have you back another time. Okay, Bryce? Does that sound?
Thank you, Bryce.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Appreciate you, man.
Seeing you,
See you soon.
Keith and Rich, and meeting you other guys. It's been fun.
Awesome.
Have a good one, man.
Bryce, I'm really glad we
too.
connected over coffee, and I'm really glad we got a chance to spend some time on the show with you, and I'd love to have you back and hang out with us again in the future, okay?
I would love that.
All right, pal. All right, let's do that. And we got Johnny Anderson with the lifestyle tip coming up, and then Jory Jansen. We're going to talk nutrition, genetics, and so forth. Little Doughboy, I see you there. What's good, y'all? Top of the morning, you too. If you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe to Morning Lab with Keith and Friends, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the only channel to prevent you from hitting the snooze button. Anderson, you're up, brother.
Come on, baby. All right, here's the deal. We all fuck up. We're human beings. We're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We don't live in a perfect world. So get rid of the idea of perfect. Here's the deal. When you make a mistake, it's okay. Number one, you should learn from your mistake. But number two, which is most important, is don't let that first mistake turn into a second one, then a third one, then a fourth one. To make a mistake, learn, move forward. That's what this shit's all about. What it's not about is taking that first mistake and leveraging it into many, many more, which then will take you off track. So don't be the guy that says, well, God damn it, I had a bite of cheesecake. Now I'm just going to eat the whole fucking thing. God knows I used to be that guy. Life is so much better when you learn from your mistakes, move forward, and get what you want. Rock and roll.
What? What was that, Johnny? Don't be the guy that has one. What'd you say about the cheesecake?
One fucking bite, and then you eat the whole goddamn thing.
What?
You know, that one mistake turned into, fucking however many more it took to get the whole thing down.
We all do it, eh? It's like, oh, okay, I already had the fucking bite. I'm just gonna crush the whole cake. It's just, and you just sit there and then as the fork is shoveling the food into your mouth, the mental psychosis going through.
Well, you
your
know what
brain.
happens is you have the first bite, and you go into fucking fast forward because you're eating as fast as you can until, because you know the voice of reason is on the way.
Yes.
And the voice that's got a hold of you is saying, hurry the fuck up, you son of a bitch. Get this thing down before that motherfucker comes in the door and tells us to do what's right here.
That's Jory, would you define that the same way? Is that the same process when you're just devouring something too?
When it tastes good, it tastes like more.
Oh, you teach me something all the time. You're going from a moment to this is a moment in time. What did you just say?
Jory doesn't strike me as the person that eats until she's like fucking sick. She has that thing where she can have a little more. Okay, I've had enough, and that's good. See, I used to be the guy that would eat until I was like ready to fucking throw up.
Well, I grew up with like 2 older brothers, and I have a twin sister, and so the 4 of us would be like, if we didn't eat it now, older brothers, like it was not going to be there later. So like sometimes it was like, I'm going to eat the half a pie because it's not there later.
All right, we got Richie, Johnny, Marty, Keith, Billis, and of course our resident nutritionist Jory Jansen joining us every Monday and Friday. We're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, dropping nuggets about food and nutrition. And Richie, I love when you're here with Jory because I see the smoke coming from Austin as the conversation starts going, and you start looking at your notes and pulling out questions. Today we're going to talk about nutrient metabolism and how it fits your genes and so forth, and what we're eating, what we shouldn't be eating. And then at the end of the conversation, Jory, looking at you, I'm going to Bonnie Day tonight. So I got the menu up. Maybe you can help me choose what I should eat today, because I had a pork chop on the weekend at Smith, and I got just chastised by the boys because I picked the pork
chop, Keith.
I picked the pork, Jory. I just picked the pork chop, and I got just shit from the boys.
What's wrong with that?
Boys?
Yeah, we're not fans of. Me and John aren't fans of pork chops.
Well, no, see, I'm not a fan of pork chop unless that motherfucker is organic.
Well, Keith didn't have organic.
No.
Well, then AJ came on and started talking about the type of pork it was, so it very well could have been. I like pork if it's organic animal.
Yeah.
But the way that they feed it, listen, if an animal is eating fucking garbage, I don't want to eat that animal.
No, I see what you're saying. Like shot up with antibiotics and stuff.
Well, and that's the smallest piece of the equation. These motherfuckers, literally, YouTube this shit. You will see like a garbage truck. We're talking plastic bottles. We're talking everything that's in a trash can. This fucking pig will eat it all. and then that's supposed to put some, I mean, the toxicity that animal is basically eating. I don't want to eat that animal.
Keith, we got time for like a 30-second story.
Yeah, of course you do.
So my family in Mississippi, they were raised on farms, right? And so I go visit them in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, just outside Hattiesburg, and they have this potbelly pig called oinkers.
Yeah.
And every time we get done with any breakfast, lunch, dinner, they go take all the scraps out. The oinkers, they've named this motherfucker. They go out there and pet it. This thing, it is huge. Come back 6 months later, and I'm like, where's oinkers? They're like, you're fucking eating him.
Oinkers on
they
the fucking
named him
plate
and then
right
ate him. It doesn't get any fresher than that, though. I'll tell you.
Oinker too.
Well, I was gonna say they're feeding him the scraps. They're not feeding him the garbage can. That's the way it should be.
Oinkers is tasty.
We're gonna
eat Charlotte's Web, and then you just can't eat oinkers.
Oh, Jory, don't go to Charlotte's Web. What are you doing?
Come on, Jory.
So, the children.
My daughter in grade 4, she read it and she goes, I just can't do this, Mom. So I just can't eat.
I'm a heartless bastard. I have read that book and I will still eat. Fuck, I don't care.
Jory's dropping truth bombs for the children here on the show this morning. We tell you to put the headphones on the children because we're not here to dispel the Santa Claus myth or the Charlotte's Web myth. Jory, let's talk about nutrition and genetics. Here's the point I want to go out with this conversation today. Humans are looking for the magic pill to live longer. And right now we had a great discussion, you, me, and Marty, a number of months back about Ozempic and GLP, and you opened my mind to some of those attributes and why people might want to take those things. But let's talk about how folks sometimes aren't having progress with their nutrition because their genetics don't align with the choices they're making with the food choices that they're eating. So let's talk about how genetics compete or align with nutrition. Jory Jansen.
Yeah, so like anything, doing a genetics test is a tool, right?
Yeah.
It's one tool, and it doesn't guarantee success for sure, because you still have to have the motivation, but then the dedication, the commitment to make the changes that may show up in your results. And it's a new science still. It's even newer than the science of just nutrition as a whole, and nutrition is pretty new overall. And so I have used it, and usually I talk people out of it, but if they still, once I've tried to talk them out of doing this, because it's not for everyone, it's expensive, I charge a good deal amount of money for a nutrigenomics test. So,
and it can be a massive distraction at the same time. Do you think, Jory?
It can be. You are right. It can be. I was working with an athlete. This is a number of years ago already. But I was doing my whole consultation, and I was saying, you know what, it sounds like based on family history, based on what you're showing up with, I bet you're lactose intolerant. There may be some other issues. Doesn't seem like there's celiac disease, but you might have a gluten sensitivity. And I said, do you just want to do the elimination sort of diet thing, or do you want to go ahead and pay for this expensive test? And this athlete said, you know what? And they're not a pro athlete, so they're not making tons of money. And they're like, you know what? I just want to do the test. So we did it. And lo and behold, highly, lactose intolerant, which I said, you're likely lactose intolerant. And not moderately, but highly gluten sensitive, but not celiac disease, because this doesn't test for that. And I said, so based on what we discussed beforehand, based on you getting your beautiful report, was this worth it for you? And for her, she said, the reason why, Jory, this was worth it for me is because it's telling the story about me. This is the story. And so for her, it was.
Yes.
Related to others where they're like, yeah, I see, like we probably could. So it really depends on the individual. And at the end of the day, no matter what, right? No matter how magical and motivating of a practitioner you might be, your client, you as an individual still have to put the work in. So I found out my taste perception for fat is elevated, which to me was bragging rights for my family, because out of all my family, and it has nothing to do with nutrition, because I became a dietitian by accident. That's another story.
Yeah.
But for me, I could not eat sandwiches that had butter on them. the taste would linger in the back of my throat.
Really?
My family thought I was nuts because they iced everything, right?
Yeah.
And when I did this test, it showed that for me, my fat taste reception is elevated. So I will taste butter or fats in general sooner than some other genetic markers.
And it told
He
you.
was like, I'm normal.
Really?
Wow.
Really?
So,
Go ahead.
Is there?
So there are some cool, or for caffeine, I can drink coffee morning to right before bed. I don't feel it. It's a comfort. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right.
Me too.
But what it showed for me for sport performance, it does nothing for me based on my genetic factors. However, because I have a sluggish metabolism, it can stay in my system a lot longer. So even though I don't feel it, the impact of increased risk of high blood pressure or stroke is there because the caffeine's in my system longer.
Yeah.
So I don't feel it. So I thought I'm fine. Whereas my husband shakes, having like a couple of sips. But for him, if timed right, at the right dose, caffeine is performance enhancing for him in exercise, where for me, it doesn't do anything.
Richie.
So it's pretty cool in terms of that, but it's not the end all be all. And it's still new. So we can't solely depend on it, but we can use it as a tool for those that can afford it and that are ready for that information. And there's going to be some inaccuracies, right? Because it is new.
Yeah.
Mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing that pops up into my mind is there a test that you can take, similar to, you hook me up on a treadmill to test for VO2 max, or, taking blood samples before and after workouts and stuff that show, hey, look, your body is not metabolizing, is not processing carbs as quickly or proteins as quicker, or like we always said in the running world, I want to go 60-20-20. If I'm really in a peak phase, carbs, fat, protein, or whatever, maybe. Is there any blood testing you can do to say, well, hold up, your body really doesn't function like that. You need to be at, 50, 25, 25.
So I don't know if anyone else can jump in. From my understanding, the tests that are out there, I think someone can do a search and make sure I'm saying it right. I think it's called the Lumen. I looked into it a few years ago.
Yeah, the Lumen. I know the Lumen. Yeah, you breathe into it.
So there's a lot of error in it, but it could be a tool, a learning tool to understand how your body's working, just like a nutrigenomics, right? So, so there are different tools out there, yes, but they're still just a tool. I'm not calling anyone a tool, but they're, part of utilizing your resources to just fine tune how you're going to operate. So yeah, there are some, blood work. I mean, there's also blood glucose monitoring that you can look at.
Yes.
But you have to also understand that it's very normal. You eat food, it's gonna rise, and then it's gonna come down. But it's like the trend of how that operates for you. So there are definitely tests out there that you can use, but I would use it over time just to see what your trends come out.
But at the end of the day, Rich, your performance is what's going to completely cement what works for you. And by eliminating processed foods and starting with you're using these whole foods and with different tests, you're going to find your answer fairly quickly. It's just a matter of staying with it and testing your performance and gathering that data.
Jory, what you said, with about using the genomics test, and you said this client of yours where she had this aha moment because it was her story. I find in our journey through life, in our journey through fitness, in our journey through wellness, we as humans search for, we need to find that aha moment where it resonates, right? Where it's like the light goes off. And that's just like when I'm hearing you tell the story of this lady, that test is what made her kind of go, oh, right. And it made it relatable for her, right? So like you said, it's just a tool, and we all need these tools because it's the impetus to keep us going, isn't it, Jory?
It is. And I think it's the same thing as, if you're finding that you're bloating and you just have a lot of inflammation, like maybe you follow, instead of that, it's cheaper to follow a low FODMAP diet for a week or so. And it's basically a huge carbohydrate elimination. So you can't have stone fruit, garlic, onions.
Yeah.
So that is one tool as well, right? So it's figure out what's within your means. And then I think like John always says, like, if you get rid of a lot of the overly processed options out there, and then you add in the other things that really matter as well as your sleep, your hydration, exercise, all of those matter. And then your support network, who's your accountability. You guys always talk about accountability partners, right? And I love that. That's probably one of the biggest game changers, is to have your accountability partners.
Well, you know what's great about this too, Jory, is we keep introducing these tools to human beings because we're all searching for the magic. And then when we realize that, oh, you mean I still have to show up? Yeah. Oh, you still mean I have to eat the whole foods? Yeah. Oh, you still mean I have to get the 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Yeah. And it's funny because we get presented with these hacks, but then when the hack is done, it always goes back to the basics.
Absolutely. This is just another tool to tell you the non-negotiables that we're always negotiating. There you go.
The negotiables are always negotiating. And Jory, I got to warn you, Jory. So I know that Lauren hasn't texted you back from Monday, but I'm just warning you. She's been really busy. The moment she gets on that texter with you, you're not gonna get your time back. So be prepared for an onslaught of texts coming at you probably today or tomorrow. She's like, all right, I'm gonna go after Jory now. So, but she did have time to jump in here with this one right here, which is, I wish I had that problem when you were talking about coffee, because once Lauren crushed her coffee, she doesn't get any sleep here. But and I got Lauren's got a question for Jory here. Jory, can you recommend a place to this in Winnipeg? Would make for a great Christmas gift. That's a good point, actually.
God damn, brother, you'd be getting off lucky if that's the Christmas gift.
No, but that's actually pretty good. If you can test me a test for a gift, that's a good one. That's a really good one, Jory.
No, that's a gift that's very applicable, because there's nothing worse than getting a cool gift that just, this is really fucking cool, but it doesn't really apply much to me. That thing is right up her alley, brother.
Yeah. So, but Jory, somebody can come.
I'm not kidding. I have had a dad 2 years in a row buy his kids nutrition consultations with me for Christmas gifts, because that is what the kids want. They're involved in sport, and they just want to fine tune every year. I'm like, are you sure that's what your kid wants? They're like, that's what they asked for. So I'm like, all right. So I do have little gift certificates, and that's part of their Christmas present. And how cool is that? My daughter shakes her head. She goes, I don't want that for Christmas.
That's a good dad. That's pretty cool. All right, Jory. It's a cold one here in Winnipeg. What do you got on the agenda today, Jory? Middle of the week here, minus 500 here. What do you got going on today, kid?
I am making sure that every client I work with is on Zoom today. I'm not going out.
Nice.
Hey, I don't blame you.
Well, Jory, I'm making my way to Bonnie Day. Have you been there for dinner? Any recommendation of what I should grab for food? Because I can't have pork because the boys will give me shit.
You can have pork. Just make sure it's the proper pork chop.
What's that, Jory?
I have an
Only
eating
Rich
out
can have
smart
pork.
guide that I can send your way, and it's just how to order off the menu, but not from the menu. So everything that's there, just because it's there, if you're polite, they're not gonna make modifications, spit on it before they bring it out to you. So just be kind, and most restaurants are going to accommodate things for you. But most importantly, if you're not going out more than like a couple times a month, enjoy it. But if you're looking to, because this is the time of year where a lot of events happen, then make some, more smarter choices. And I'll send you that little list in terms of making better choices around food. So like anything with creamy sauces,
Oh yeah, bring on the creamy sauces as we walk Jory Jansen out of the room here this morning. Jory, I appreciate you. Always appreciate you joining us. Your great conversation, genetics and food. I know Richie's probably got a bunch more questions for our next segment on Friday here. So, Jory, you have a great day today. Enjoy yourself. Stay warm.
Yeah.
Don't go outside.
All right. Thanks, you guys. I always enjoy hanging out with all of you.
All right, Jory. We'll see you later. Jory's out of here. I think Marty's got to go here too, brother. You got to rock and roll, brother.
Marty got to bounce today, man.
Marty's got to bounce. I'm gonna stick around for the next 30 minutes with Richie and Johnny. Marty, give us something before you leave today, pal. Give us one thing.
Hey, man. Dang, you caught me. I don't know. Hey, no excuses today. Get whatever you got to get done. Get that shit done. No excuses.
Get it, baby.
There's a good soundbite from Jimmy. We got to get that soundbite there from Marty.
Get that soundbite, man.
That's it. No excuses. Marty, drive safe. Be well. I love you, brother. Have a good one. Okay,
love you too, man. See y'all tomorrow.
Have a great loop, brother.
Take care. All right. You're back here with Keith Billis, John Anderson, Richie Ingram. Jory just left. Marty just left. We got 30 minutes here going on the show. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about how to live longer by doing the fartlek.
We're going to talk about letting me go have a piss first.
I was about to message you.
I was just going to say the boys are going for a squirt, and Uncle Keith's here going to reset the second hour here. You guys get out of here. You guys go reset the second. I'm going to reset the second hour here with Jimmy. And producer Tommy's out hanging out with us in the live as well. We got a couple producers bringing the show on here. My baby Lauren wants, she wants a VO2 Max. Yeah. We'll get into the VO2 max so we can get that life expectancy work in play there, baby. All right, the first hour, we hung out with Bryce Holmes. We talked about Bryce's non-negotiables. Dude, the guy gets up at 4 a.m., goes till 10 o'clock. Non-negotiable. Shuts all the notifications off, shuts the world off, and gets his shit done. Why? So he can live longer and spend more time with his family, spend more time with himself, and spend more time being healthy. Bryce Holmes bringing it in that first hour here. We're talking 5 tips to live longer. And listen, guys, the magic we gave you is actually not much magic. It's just simple, right? It's sleeping regularly. It's reducing stress. It's eating more whole foods. It's investing in real connections. You come to the show looking for magic. The magic is in accountability. The magic is showing up here every single day with myself and Richie, Marty, Johnny, Jimmy, Walter. Just getting shit done, getting it going. That's how you guys live longer. All right. Let's bring Richie back up here on stage. Richie, I enjoy Bryce, man. Bryce is awesome.
Yeah, I didn't, just because he and I talked only a couple of days ago, I didn't want to steal his thunder. But one thing that really struck me about him was his long-term strategy. He has been compiling and studying investment and real estate data for a decade. For a fucking dude. And you talk about like opposites attract. Like I was so drawn to this. Like, how the fuck do you? Because I've been told like my family says grass doesn't grow under your feet or whatever that adage is. You know, like I'm more like a fucking chainsaw. Let's go. And he's just like back there just playing. I would not want to get on that dude's bad side. You know, like he is gonna have a fucking plan for you. But yeah, man, I mean, the discipline that it takes to be able to study something for that long to truly become an expert, you know, into what he's doing, it's just, man, it's amazing.
Well, and Richie and I absolutely admired when I met him, and that's why when I started talking to him, I'm like, Richie, you got to meet this guy because I knew you guys were going to get along. I figured I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I knew you guys were going to get along. But what struck me the most was how disciplined he was around his non-negotiables in the morning. And I didn't even bring it up. He's like, oh yeah, I get up at 4. I'm like, dude, I get up at 4. What are you getting up at 4 for? He goes, so I can get my shit done so I can spend time with my family come 4 o'clock every day. I'm like, holy fuck, man, you got yourself sorted out. Like that's sorted out. Because I know, Richie, you get up in the middle of the night to get your running done because you're like, I don't want to be running in the middle of the day. So you do your running in the middle of the night so you can spend time with your family. And again, it goes back to these simple things that so much of us have a hard time doing. But Bryce is like, no, 4 o'clock, non-negotiable. Turns his notifications off, turns the world off, Richie.
You know what I recently did? My kids hate it. I got rid of the fucking TV.
I grew up in a house without a fucking TV for a long time.
Well, people did it for thousands of years. Why do we?
Dude, I'm telling you, I was out fucking climbing trees. I was riding my bike. I was doing all the shit that I wouldn't have been doing if I had a fucking TV at my disposal.
Look, I'm telling you, you know what really drew the line for me was my 2-year-old. You know, because we have it can be a hectic house, and so you're trying to get dinner to get ready and all this stuff, and the 2-year-old basically is addicted to Gabby's dollhouse, and so I turn the TV off, and I mean she is just, and it's time to get in the bath and go to bed and read books, and she is just ballistic, can't stop crying. I'm like, you know what, fuck this. So now the funny thing is, instead of a TV in my living room, I have a Peloton bike, a treadmill, and a pull-up bar.
There you go.
Perfect. And yes, I'm single.
Well, and the thing about it, brothers, of course, what I love about this is that you recognize that there was an issue, and you're sorting this out before, because at 2, it's very different than dealing with at 12.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
well, and it's not just their problem. I think it was my problem as well. You know, I'd get into this loop of, okay, I put the kids down, and then I watch some TV. Well, let me watch another episode, and then before you know it, it's like, man, God damn it, you know, what'd I just do? And so, and you're so much more quiet and calming in the mind without having that fucking noise. Like, it's amazing.
Well, you know, it's a pacifier for the kids because we know we can put them in front of it and it'll shut them up for a while, which is really the kind of the weak way to do it. You know, I mean, I'll be honest, when I was a young parent, I did it too, because you're just trying to figure out how to keep this kid happy.
Yeah.
You know? But when it comes to ourselves, fuck, dude. I mean, I'll be honest. It took me a long time to realize, okay, TV is for me to learn. I don't watch TV or forgive me if I'm with my family and they want to watch a movie, I don't care. Pick the movie. It's not about the movie. It's about the time we're spending together. If I pick the movie, nobody fucking likes it anyway. So I'm not going to pick the movie, but it's either a time to commune or it's a time to learn. There's nothing in between. You're not going to have me watching something for entertainment by myself. And that was a game changer for me, brother, because it's a great tool if you use it right.
Hey, Rich, you got 3 young children. I'm curious, how do you handle the iPad in the house? Do the kids have iPads? Do you have one iPad? Do you have no iPad? Do they all have an iPad? How do you handle the iPad in the house?
We only use them for traveling. Like that's it.
Baby.
I mean,
good shit, bro.
Like we're hopping on a plane on Friday. They will get them. And normally we don't even bring them out until they get to the airport because it's getting out of the car, getting through security, and they're just like, So once we get through security, they can have them the whole time, and then they're getting put back into daddy's suitcase, when we get to wherever we're going. And so that's how it works. And I will say, my wife, the other day, she forgot to, separated. She forgot to put everything up out of her suitcase because she hides them when we're at home. And so my son wakes up, and because Mia texts me this, and she's like, "Oh my God, Grant just came in my room. It's 5:30 in the morning. Andy, like a crackhead, is hiding in her closet under some blankets, has her iPad." She's watching. That's not good for you, man. And so that's why traveling only. That's it.
Check this out, brother. Since you're a young parent, if I wish that I had someone kind of uncover this to me, and I just kind of discovered it on my own. It was the punishment thing. Obviously they do something wrong. You got to stick to your guns, right? Well, you go timeouts, you do spankings, you do all this shit. Well, the game changer for me was when they got in trouble. They have to be old enough where they've actually learned to write. I would have them write about what they did wrong so they could think about it. Now, as they got older, there'd be more pages. Like the middle daughter, she was extremely stubborn, and so I'd be like, hey, if you do that, you're going to have to write a couple pages. So whatever she was doing, she racked up one time like 20 pages, literally because I told her not to do it. She did it. And like, I'm chipping them on 2 at a time. I'm like, okay, there's 18, pushes, whatever, does it again. Okay, there's 20. But here's the cool thing. When they went into, middle school, right? The teacher said, okay, I want you to write, pretty much every teacher said, I want you to write a page about yourself so I can learn about you guys. And everybody in the class like, writing a page. She fucking banged out that page with like 3 minutes left in the class, turns it in. And her friends were like, how did you do that? She's like, I've been writing pages my whole life.
That's amazing. That is such a great technique. We're going to have to do that because it's very expressive.
You say, look, tell me about, I want you to explain why you did what you did and why you should not do that in the future. So a lot of times, they're saying, I know if I do this, I'm an adult, I'll go to jail, that kind of shit, but it's just the idea that they're immersing energy into that moment of why they did what they did. And it was really, really transformative to not only them, but our relationship.
You're hanging out with Keith Ritchie and John Anderson here. Mornings Live with Keith and friends. We're talking screens with kids. Ritchie, I want to invite you to consider something as a young parent. It's something that I have done, and it's something that I've talked to Flynn about, and it's something I would encourage you to consider as well. Because in my experience, all of us parents, especially of my generation, Johnny's generation, even your generation, Ritchie, we see screens as consumption devices. Hear me clearly. We see screens as consumption devices. You're going to give your kids a head start in life if you get your kids creating content on those screens at 2, 4, and 6. Because a lot of parents that aren't listening to you right now, a lot of parents are saying you can't use the iPad or you can only use it to consume stuff. No, you're all wrong. Give your kid the iPad and say create math, create art, create content. Why? It's the future. Every kid out there consuming. When Grant's creating, he's getting ahead. When Grant's creating, he's getting ahead, right? My young little Brooklyn, I encourage the hell out of her to create. She's got a YouTube channel. She loves what her old Keithy does down here. She creates. Does she consume? Absolutely. But me and Lauren are really adamant on, if you're going to spend an hour consuming, you can spend 2 hours of creating. So don't see the device as purely a consumption device that's going to kill your kids' brains. Look at it the complete opposite, Richie, first principles, and look at that device giving your kid an advantage over every other kid and parent that's not paying attention to what I'm saying right now. It's not a TV that's just consumption. It is a creation device that will unlock the future for your 3 children. I could not encourage you enough to think about it that way and say, yeah, if you're going to watch for an hour, make for an hour. Watch for half an hour, make for 2 hours. You follow me, Richie?
How about you got to make first to earn your consume time. That's what I would do.
Johnny, you're absolutely right. You want to watch a show? I want you to do a math equation for an hour. So Richie, hey Grant, hey kids, we're going to sit down and we're going to download a bunch of apps today. The kids are going to think dad's the greatest dad in the world. We're pulling the iPad out. Oh, but here's what you're going to do. I want you to draw something. I want you to create something. And then Richie, knock them in or I'll get some apps your way. But dude, I cannot encourage. Have your kids set up a YouTube channel. Like, nobody's gonna get hurt, like honest to God, right? And nobody's gonna come freak out about doing crazy shit. Like Brooklyn came home yesterday, she's like, Keith, 500 people watched my video. She was so happy because people were watching her video, and you know what? And that's what it's all about, right? So that to me is why I encourage parents to flip the script. And like Johnny said, yeah, if they want to watch, have them create first. And you will be ahead of every other parent that's not getting this message. True story. So, all right, let's keep rocking. Let's listen. The shows today is about how to live longer. And I want to wrap up our segment with the 3 of us here around this idea of running and walking and restarting your running journey through Fartlek training. Now, I know Johnny's not a big runner. I just started running here over the last number of months. Rich is a big runner. And we know that movement creates momentum. We know that movement makes us live longer. Simple, period, point fucking blank. Truth. So, Jimmy, Tommy, let's pull up the gamma here on mastering the run walk method. I thought we'd pull Richie on the stage here to talk a little bit about Fartlek training and somebody, Richie, who's like, I don't know how to. I want to run, but I don't know how to start. Or I was running, and you know, we all have done this, right? We do something and then we get off track and then we don't get back to, just like Johnny said, right? You have a bite of that cheesecake, like, fuck it, I'm going to finish the whole thing. And the same thing with running. I stopped my running routine for a week, so I'm not going to run again. Let's talk about how we can get somebody moving again through Fartlek training and just, you know, run, walk, run. Rich, just talk about Fartlek training, brother.
Okay, so first off, I want to be very, you know, we want to talk about our definitions. I don't think Fartleks generally means sprinting. So when we talk about run, walk in this purpose, let's you know, Fartlek could be confusing. But so when I first came back after my last injury several years ago, this is exactly what I did. I started off, and you can do it in many different ways. You can start, and the reason why it's similar to Fartlek is normally in a Fartlek, what you do is, let's say light pole to light pole, right? Fartlek is just a very unorganized or really unplanned way of doing interval speed work. What that means is, hey, I'm just in my neighborhood. I'm gonna run this light pole. I'm gonna walk the next light pole, and you do it like that. Or you can just say, hey, look, I'm gonna go 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. And I think one of the biggest things that you can do to start off with is, dude, you just got to get out there and start walking. And so once you get comfortable with that, because if all of a sudden you start sprinting or moving, you're going to get injured. So start walking. And the reason why Fartlek is considered unorganized is because it's not a 10 out of 10 every time. It's how you feel. So, hey, look, you know, I'm going to start running at a 5 out of 10 from this light pole to that light pole. I'm going to walk the next one. And then, hey, look, after a few of those, let me go up to 7 out of 10 and see how I feel. And
when you feel better, as you get moving, you start to feel better. You want to do more versus forcing yourself to do it out of the gate. I love the concept, brother.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is how I got back into running. You know, I said, okay, I didn't really put a time limit on it. I started in my neighborhood. I knew, you know, I just picked a couple blocks where I could do circles around. And so, you know, I took off walking, get a little warmed up, and then run. And so I try and run a circle and see how I felt. And then I walk a circle, see how I felt. And I kept doing that. Before you knew it, I was running a full 30 minutes at a time. And now I wasn't killing it or anything, but what it did was, one, it kept me from being injured. And two, it was just fucking fun. You know, like it brought back but it allowed me to really see the benefits of it. And then it took off from there.
Yeah. Richie, why would somebody not do this kind of training? And maybe that's not the best question. What would prevent somebody from, I guess, getting behind this idea of walk running? I know me as a new runner, I sometimes don't want to go to walking because I feel like I'm failing at running. Talk about why walking is beneficial to becoming a better runner for a longer.
Okay, so let's talk about two different things. One, you're first starting out. It's if you're first starting out, then it's to give you the energy to be able to finish your workout. But at the same time, it's also to give you a break so you don't injure yourself. All of your soft tissue is not as malleable as you think it is when you're first starting off. You have to give yourself a chance. Now, once you become seasoned, the reason why you walk. So, for example, yesterday I did an interval workout. Okay, I did a 2 mile jog, like literally a warm up, and then I did 10 1-minute sprints. And so I would sprint for 1 minute. And I walked. As soon as I was done, I walked for 30 seconds, started jogging again.
How far are you getting in those 1-minute sprints, brother? How far are you going?
I mean, I'm doing like a 5-minute mile. So, I mean, I'm just doing it by time. Everything is by time in my world for the most part.
That's just about a minute getting around a track. So that's moving pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, but it depends on where you're at. But what you have to realize is that when you're out there and you're doing speed work as a seasoned athlete, the purpose is not endurance. The purpose is the speed work. So that's why you walk to reset, normalize your heart rate to get ready for the next one. And so, no, it's not a failure at all to stop and walk. And I used to look at it like that too, Keith. It's necessary to get what you need out of it.
Well, it's funny, Rich, you say, because I'm learning this whole thing, right? And I've been talking about, and I've been learning from Lauren, watching Lauren and learning, but it happened this week for me on the treadmill, right? Where Johnny, I was running fast, like at a higher speed. And then I slowed right down, Richie, and I was like almost walking. And then I went fast again. When it was all done, I actually went further. I was like, because in the past, I would try to sustain a higher speed for a longer period of time, Richie. But I'm like, wait a minute. I actually went further by going faster and slower instead of being more consistent at a pace. You know what I'm trying to say, Richie?
Yeah, absolutely. And that happens. And so, again, like that's why, my coach has me going for time, not distance. So I will, like my warm up yesterday was 15 minutes. Last week, my intervals were 8x2, right? So I would sprint for 2 minutes and then jog for 2 minutes. Before that was 5 times 3. And then, we'll get into tempo later. Generally in a tempo workout, you're not walking at all. But these are to build that anaerobic, cutting into your raising your VO2 max effort. And so the purpose of that, if you are not resetting your heart rate, you cannot get the full push into that, past that lactate threshold effort that you need, because you're not letting your heart rate reset enough, and you're just going to get gas. Interesting.
Richie, we got a comment from Brandon Phillips here on LinkedIn. He says, fascinating lineup. I got a joke. First of all, Brandon, brother, put the AI comments away, brother. Sorry, just put them away. Because I've seen you've been commenting on my posts, Brandon, and I love them, but I can tell they're a little bit AI generated. I'm just saying, having some fun with you, brother. I'm having nothing but fun with you, brother, but I want to offer this fascinating lineup. I'm particularly intrigued by the Fartlek method and its potential impact on overall health. Remember, consistency is key when implementing new habits. Start small, focus on progress over perfection, and celebrate every win along the way. Looking forward to tuning in and learning more about optimizing our health span, not just our lifespan. That comes from Brandon Phillips. I appreciate you, Brandon. And listen, I like to have fun with folks here. So AI or not, that's just what I'm all about here. Jimmy, let's go back to the tips. I want to wrap the segment up with Richie. Look at the tips on the screen here. Tips for run walk success. Proper gear, track progress, consistency, listening to your body. Anything missed on this slide that would give somebody a tip for having some run walk success? Rich Ingram.
I would say expectations. If you're just starting out, set realistic expectations and make sure the consistency. Don't go out with the goal of, I'm doing 3 miles or 5 miles. You will injure yourself. If you're just starting out, just say, hey, I'm just going to go and see how I feel. Pick a small couple blocks in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Go off field. And then once you start to grow, that's when you can start to really, track your progress a little bit more and set those heavier expectations.
And Rich, what about joining a running club? Is that something you would encourage somebody to facilitate if they were looking to get into running?
Yeah, absolutely. Just make sure you join the right one, because and make sure that when you go out there, you're not trying to chase the gazelles, right? Like you will end up injured. You need to be realistic with yourself and meet up with an all paces group. And in a lot of groups, man, they are so inviting, and they have people that they have no man left behind runs where it doesn't matter how slow you are, you're not going to get left. So make sure that you link up with the right one. But community is very huge.
Awesome. All right, boys. Well, listen, we're wrapping up the show here. I'm gonna wrap up the segment with you guys. I'm gonna continue with Jimmy and Tommy here in the production team, and we're gonna do our creator spotlight in a couple minutes. But I want to walk you guys out here. I know you guys got a day ahead of you. Richie, what do you got planned today, brother?
Oh man, I have a lot of work to do. I'm going out of town to visit family in Atlanta. So just a lot of getting ahead and catching up.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. And I saw are you hanging out tomorrow? No, you're traveling tomorrow, aren't you?
I'm traveling on Friday, but because of that, I have extra things that I have to do. So yeah.
All right, Richie. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate hanging out with us this morning. You enjoy your day. I'll text you later today. And Jim, Johnny, what do you got going on today, brother? You what do you got on the plans?
I'm walking right through that door, right over there.
Yeah.
Where my gym is, and I'm starting to crack down on some shoulders, baby.
Nice. Nicely done. All right. Well, those boys are going to get out of here. I'm going to do some yoga today. I got some stretching coming up today before heading off to Bonnie Day Restaurant with my beautiful wife, Lauren, and some friends for dinner tonight, and a surprise dinner tonight. But boys, you guys have a great one today. Enjoyed having you guys on the show here today, hanging out and having a good old conversation. As Jimmy said, Johnny's back. The internet is back up there, and I was getting some texts along the way here from Jimmy. He's like, "Oh yeah, I could see Johnny's back because the internet is not stuttering along the way."
Oh man, that was. I'm glad that's over. Jesus.
That's right. All right, boys, you guys have yourself a good one today. I'm going to keep the show going. We'll do the creator spotlight, and we'll catch up with you guys a little later. Okay, Johnny, Richie,
have a good loop, everyone.
All right, John.
Guys. All right, guys, you got see Richie, see you, Johnny. All right, Jimmy. Tommy, let's keep the show rock and rolling here. I'm going to introduce a little sound effects to keep the show rock and rolling. Into the community corner. You got Uncle Keith left on the show here. Good morning, nation. Good morning, Business Athlete Nation. Good morning, LinkedIn Nation. Good morning, YouTube. You are tuning into Mornings Alive with Keith and Friends, the only show to help you get your ass out of bed and not hit the snooze button. Okay, last half hour of the show here, we like to do the community corner. You guys are leaving. What are you doing? No, you got to come back. There you go. I see. There you go. Community corner, creator spotlight. It's this point we like to take the big old. Good morning, Carmi. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you here in the feed. Nice to have you there in the comments. It's this point in the show where we like to take the old Mornings in the Lab light. That light was made by Jimmy. Yeah, he made it over there in the Philippines. He shipped it over to me on the boat. It's like, hey, Keith, here's the light for us. I'm like, all right, there's the light. And the big light, we shine it on the person walking up the mountain. They're struggling, they're creating content, making an impact, showing up every single day, helping humans, doing great things. And today, we got a nominee. Well, I'm going to get sorted out here on my screen. Jimmy, I'm getting set up here, man. We got a person today who's a people connector, who helps companies with TA and tech infrastructure. And despite the picture, he's not coming to collect a debt for the mob. And when you see his profile picture, you're going to be thinking, oh my God, this guy's going to come and collect my debt. Yeah, he's from Seattle. So if you're in the Seattle area, you might want to watch out for this fellow I'm going to introduce you to, because he might be coming to collect your debt based on his profile picture. He's from Los Angeles, California. Growing up, he was all about the hustle. Whether it was kicking goals in the soccer field, massive Liverpool FC fan, shooting hoops, or playing guitar, his entrepreneurial spirit kicked in early when he co-founded, I'm not saying it, mister, because I want to surprise you. When he co-founded a creative agency crafting content from some of the biggest names in music and global brands. Yeah, that tells you something there. So listen, let's do this. Let's take the big old Mornings in the Lab light, start churning it alive, making the light go alive here. And we are going to celebrate. This has been the longest opener ever. And then I think producer Jimmy, I think I might have somebody else on the show here today as well to talk about with folks. I got a tip that might be helpful for humans if they got iPhones. Yeah, 2 tips actually. I got 2 iPhone tips. Oh, wait a minute, we're doing the creator spotlight. That's right. It's my ADHD kicking in. It's got the squirrel. There's a squirrel over there. Anyways, today, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is extremely excited and pleased to bring to the stage somebody we are celebrating today, and his name is, drum roll please, Devin Boddy, or Devin Boddy, or Devin Boddy, with the crazy LinkedIn profile picture. Devin, as I have said to you guys, is Gorilla Hollywood, an agency out there in Los Angeles that is doing some wonderful things. And we're here today to celebrate Devin in the lab for a lot of reasons. I looked at his most recent post, and he talks about this. You're closer than you think. Progress Nation, rarely is it flashy. Not always loud or obvious. It's in the quiet moments, those small decisions, the relentless effort you put in day after day. We call it showing up. But here's the truth. Here's the absolute truth, right? You're absolutely closer than you think to anything you're looking to achieve, right? That opportunity, that moment of change that you even realize. That path, though, can feel long, those obstacles daunting. But what Devin talks about, and he knows that every time you choose to keep going, every time you choose to show up and do the work, you're proving to yourself and you're proving to the world that you have what it takes. So, as Devin suggests, as you're tuning into my conversation right now with myself, introducing Devin Boddy, our creator spotlight, keep pushing. You're doing great. And when you look back there behind you, you're going to see how far you came. But only just do it once. Because I'm going to invite you to think about this. When you've just accomplished something, don't spend too much time celebrating it. Focus on what you are about to accomplish next. That's what I would advise you to do. So Devin, here's how this works, my friend. We have celebrated you this morning on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. So we want to invite you to the show to bring somebody from your orbit, somebody who circles your world, who's like, hey, I like what that dude's doing over there. I like what that dudette is doing over there. We need to shine the light on them so we can bring them the attention they deserve for the creator spotlight that we like to do here on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Okay, so there's the creator spotlight, Jimmy. Let's keep going. I got a couple tips that I want to throw out there for you guys. We're going to keep creating some content, Jimmy. I got a couple tips for Nation. So listen, there has been some warnings recently from CIA, the FBI, the NSA, all the government agencies out there in North America telling you to stop using unencrypted messaging apps on your phone. Most importantly, what they're telling you to do, power your phone off. Yeah, who's they? Well, you know, the big government organizations. Turn that phone off every day, reset it, disconnect yourself from the network, and you might find yourself have a little more success if you disconnect from the network from time to time. All right, and the second tip I want to give you is, you guys might not know this as well, but when you put your iPhone down at night, there's a red mode. Oh yeah, turn red mode on. The screen goes all red, the fonts go all red, a little bit easier on your eyes. So we talk about blue light, we talk about all these things that prevent us from sleeping. If you turn the red light setting on your iPhone, it might help you sleep better at night. It might help you sleep better at night. So I would advise you and encourage you to be thinking about things like that. And hey, listen, one more thing for you guys today as well. I got something on the table here that I want to talk about. We're here talking about living longer here today. And listen, I don't have Jory or Johnny here to talk about this, but I got something for you guys. 3 types of meat stop eating because they could be bad for your brain. Could be bad for your brain. Experts warn. Yeah, here's what it is. So you might not want to be eating processed meats. You hear us talk about it all the time. Processed meats are absolutely killing you. True mother story. Processed meats are killing you. Stop processed meats. You want to live longer? 5 tips to live longer. The first thing you should do today is go to your freezer, go to your fridge, get rid of all the processed meat. Well, but Keith, I just spent a bunch of money on it. Yeah, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Throw it in the garbage. Dump it out. Get rid of it. Stop the processed meat journey. It is doing no benefits to you whatsoever. So get rid of that. The second thing they're talking about is, well, red meats like beef, lamb, and pork. So the comment is that over consuming red meats may associate with increased brain inflammation and poor brain health. So what is advised by experts, proverbial experts, is limiting red meat intake and balancing it with lean protein options. Now listen, Johnny's here. Johnny's saying, hey, I keep things simple. I just keep things real simple. Eat the meat. And if you're focused about, and if you're worried about all the other bullshit, it ain't going to affect you. So, the reality is keep eating those proteins. It just comes down to, are we eating too much of the bad proteins? Hey, listen, there's a study out there saying if you're eating too much liver and too much pate, it's also got, something going on in your brain too. So it's a life of a Jory talks, moderation, right? I struggle with that. And then the third one, 33 types of meat that could be affecting your brain is charred meats. So listen, reconsider firing up that grill. Meats cooked at high temperatures can be a no-go for your brain. Cooking meats at high temperatures, such as grilling or pan frying, can produce advanced glycation end products and hydroxylic amines. Who the hell knows what that is, except that these compounds may damage brain cells and contribute to inflammation. We had no idea. True story. There you go. So there's your three types of meat that could be affecting your brain health, why you might not want to eat meat today. But listen, go eat meat. I'm having meat tonight. At Bonnie Day. That's going to be my choice on the menu here today. I don't know. Maybe I'm even thinking about having a burger. I'm looking at their menu. It looks like they got a great burger there to crush. Let's see what's also going on in the news here today over on LinkedIn here as we work towards wrapping up our segment here on the show. A couple things here. It looks like Apple's also readying their satellite to watch. Hey, listen, guys, if you guys are OpenAI fans, if you guys using ChatGPT, Sora was released this week. You guys saw a video. Canvas is now free for users to use. If you are a Google Docs user or a Notion user, I'd invite you to try Canvas. So it's going to change your world. True story, change your world. We were talking about creating content instead of consuming content. I'd invite you to try out Canvas over on the OpenAI system, and it is going to change how you create content. So, that would be something I'd throw on here for you. I'm just looking at the news over here today. What else we got going on here? Nothing important except GM's retreating from robotaxis. There we go. Okay, Jimmy. Oh, I got a comment here from somebody who was on the show yesterday. We've got, let's see here. What do we got here? Let's see here. Stephen Megling. What's going on, Stephen? Not Moling. Stephen Megling. Yeah, true story. Steve Megling comes in and says, I was blown away by you guys in the production. I believe we see the truth when shit goes sideways. You guys, that would be me. That's me, Jimmy. You guys handle the tech setbacks like powerful pros. Your show prep emails and links and this gift are 10 out of 10. Steven, how can you support my work? You can tell the world about Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, the only morning show that gets started at 8 o'clock Eastern time to help men like you, Steven, men like me, men like my good friend Johnny, Marty, Adam, get out of bed and get their ass in gear and hit their most audacious goals. Steven, I'll send you a message so you can continue helping me support this big baby. But I want to close out the show with this. Jimmy, we're going to close the show with this. I received a call this morning from somebody who I'm going to call a friend who is going through a tough time. And he reached out to say, hey, I need to talk. I said, yeah. He said, but I know you're busy about the show. I said, yeah, let's talk. So we did. We talked for 5 minutes. And this friend of mine is going through a tough time that I can tell you that I've experienced myself. And I just want to offer up to you guys out there that the power of communication moves mountains, man. It does. Talk. Be vulnerable. Be open. And I'm going to offer this to you guys. I show up here every single day for a purpose, to give you guys the same thing that I need, which is an accountability partner. This microphone, this camera. Several incredible human beings, several incredible men like you, my friend that called me this morning, to say, hey, you get up every single day and you talk. And you've built this idea of accountability. And you know, when I started the show, people were like, how are you going to monetize accountability? I'll show you how to monetize accountability. I'm going to show up every single day. And I'm going to offer this free to everybody because I'm going to show up. And then I'm going to invite people along the way to show up with me outside of this environment. But if you're going through a tough time right now, I cannot encourage you enough to reach out to somebody you trust and talk to them. They might surprise you with how they respond. Talk, let it out. Listen, It's not what happened yesterday. It's not what happened last month. It's not who we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It's who we are now and who we're going to be tomorrow. It's who we are now and who we're going to be next month, next week, next year. Every ending has a new beginning. Maybe it's not an ending. Maybe it's not a beginning. Who knows? But the reality is, if you need somebody to talk to, I could not encourage you enough to reach out to that person in your phone and say, hey, can you talk? And the other person on the other side might surprise you. Listen, all of us buddies out there that have girlfriends or partners or wives who see our friends, our girls and our wives and our partners communicating and leaning in and creating these close, vulnerable relationships. We suck at this, man. We do. And I've created this show so that we can suck less at it. So if you're having a tough day or a tough moment, or there's this shit happening in your world that you can't figure out, this is the show for you to spend time with. I'm the guy for you to spend time with. John Anderson, Christopher Martin, Richie Ingram, producer Flynn, producer Jimmy, producer Tommy. We're the crew for you to come ahead and spend time with. So I invite you, come back tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time right here. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. I'm going to pull up the old calendar here so we could come in tomorrow to the show. Eric DeGotti's coming in. One of my former guys here live in the lab here is going to join us tomorrow morning in the show. But as I said, if you're in a space, pick up the phone, text somebody, call somebody, reach out. Don't be afraid. You know what? Failure is rooted in the olden days. What do we do here on the show? We walk towards failure. We embrace failure, and then we fucking get it. That's what we do. All right. Speaking of getting it, Jimmy, it's time to get after it. It's time to get into post-production. We got content to make for Bryce Holmes. We got content to make for Business Athlete Nation. We got content to make for LinkedIn. And it's Wednesday. I got yoga to do. I got yoga to do today, guys. That's my journey today. And back here tomorrow with Eric DeGotti. For Richie Ingram, Bryce Holmes, John Anderson, myself, Keith Billis in the red hat, producer Jimmy over there, producer Tommy over there, Melissa over there, and all my friends tuning in this morning. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time, the only morning show to get your ass out of bed. Like, subscribe, tell your friends about this show. True story. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's get out of here, Jimmy.